Hey, so today I'm going to show you how to make these sweet pillars with light up torches. Both the base and pillar are based on those from the very talented Jeremy at Black Magic Craft. So your first step is you're going to take a tea light and you're just going to want to take it apart. Just kind of yank at it until it busts out. And after that, you're going to want to remove your battery. And then you're going to take a screwdriver, kind of bend these legs on this pin in the center, and just pull that out. Now on the inside there should be the leg of the LED sticking out, so you're just going to want to bend that. And now the other leg is going to be soldered onto the switch, so just take a soldering iron and heat that up and desolder it. And then after that you should be able to pull the LED right out. Now you're just going to want to straighten these two legs. And now you're going to take that little metal piece that you removed earlier and you're just going to want to stick that back in where it was before. Now after that, you're going to want to take two wires and you're going to want to strip the ends, and then you're going to tin it. You're going to tin all the ends, and if you don't know what that is, you just heat it up and put some solder on the wire. And it should look like that. Now you're just going to want to solder each of them to the legs of the LED. So I soldered the pink wire to the long leg and the white one to the short leg. And then just take some electrical tape, I'm using duct tape here, and put it in between them and then wrap it around, that way they don't short each other out. Now you're going to want to take your box cutter and your base, and you're going to want to cut out that center square. This will make room for your battery and your switch. And then you're going to want to kind of taper the edges on the bottom to make sure that the battery will sit flush once you set it down. And it should look like that. Now you're going to want to take a drill bit and kind of drill into the bottom of your pillar. I'm just going to do this by hand. I wouldn't really recommend using a drill for this because it's pretty easy to mess it up. And you're going to want to drill in fairly far. And then I count 6 bricks up and I poke a hole for the LED just above the 6th brick with a toothpick. And you're going to want to make that hole just wide enough so that your wires can fit through. And make sure your hole that you made with the drill bit is up to this point. Now you're going to want to take your toothpick and kind of snip off the end, and that's going to be the base of the torch. Now I just go 2 bricks down and just kind of poke it in at an angle, and apply some super glue too, just to make sure it's secure. Now you're going to want to take your LED with the wires. You're going to put the wires through the hole you made with the toothpick earlier, and it can be kind of tricky, just be patient. Now after that, just kind of trim the excess wire and re-strip it and tin it if you have to, just to make sure there's not a bunch of extra hanging out. Now you're going to want to take your battery and switch and put it into the bottom of the base, and I like to put some hot glue at this step just to make sure it's nice and secure before I wire it. You don't have to use too much. Once that's secure, we'll move on to wiring. And this is kind of the hardest part. You're going to want to wire the white wire, which is connected to the short leg. You're going to want to wire that to that center pin that we had taken out in the beginning. And then you're going to want to wire the red wire to that pin that we desoldered earlier that was attached to the LED. And then after that, you're just going to want to, you can glue your connections just to ensure that it's nice and strong before you glue the pillar to the base. And just make sure all your connections are really secure. It should look something like that. And now you're going to put some hot glue around the edge of the opening. Try to leave it more on the inside. That way, once you press the pillar down, the glue doesn't leak out and make it look all ugly on the outside. Now just put your battery in and put the cover on and flip your switch to make sure everything's working. Now take some wax paper and we're gonna really secure that battery and switch into the bottom. So just put a bunch of hot glue around it, and then after that you're gonna want to press it down onto the wax paper, and it should flatten it out and look really nice. Make sure none of it's covering the battery compartment or the switch. And now this step's optional, but I'm going to take some hot glue and put it over the LED and just kind of sculpt it so it looks like a flame, just to make it a little bit more realistic. And that's it. Now you have these really awesome looking LED pillars. I hope you enjoyed.